Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I have a pleasure of starting the academic part of the discussion so I can have more radical thoughts. I think that reverse charge is fair, simple and efficient, and by the way that's the tax motto of the EU Commission in the tax area. If you look at the Czech VAT today, just for illustration, we collect just over 300 billion Czech crowns of VAT in the Czech Republic. To be able to collect 300 billion, we need to pay 1,600 billion and ask for input VAT of 1,300. Right? And I think that this number itself shows a little inefficiency in the whole process. There is a clear issue with VAT fraud and carousel and missing trader fraud today. The tax authorities are spending a lot of time and energy fighting the fraud. This fight brings, generates costs for them, but it also brings a significant cost to the business that has nothing to do with this fraud, because the compliance is more expensive. There's a lot of tax audits, and sometimes due to the guarantee system, people that are part of the chain without knowing about it simply end up paying the tax, which is not fair. What will happen in 2016 in the Czech VAT? Electronic VAT ledgers or kontrolní hlášení will be introduced, and seems very likely that also electronic evidence of sales will become effective sometimes within 2016. There are few countries, there are many countries in Europe that have something similar. I think there are very few countries in Europe that would have a combination of those two measures introduced to the extent it is actually planned in the Czech Republic. The reason I'm mentioning it is that those two tools are vital, and it was mentioned in the morning. Those two tools are vital for a broader application of reverse charge in the VAT area. So let's just, for the academic discussion, introduce that we have a general reverse charge. Right? I know it's the plan is less ambitious, but let's just, for the sake of discussion, say, well, in B2B transactions we just apply reverse charge on everything, and let's assume there are some small value supplies where you have an option to tax or apply the reverse charge as well if it's a B2B transaction. So what would actually happen? I think the first question is, well, if we do this, is this still the good old VAT? Right? I think the first complaint you hear is, well, this would destroy VAT. I think it's a big misunderstanding. I think that if you introduce general reverse charge, the same amount of tax will be paid by the same final customer as today. Right? The key principle of VAT neutrality remains unchanged. There's no change at all. It is the old good VAT, which I think is one of the best taxes that were ever invented. The only thing that reverse charge does, it removes what we call the fractional payment principle, right? And fractional payment principle, and I'll come back to this, was a great thing. It was a great invention 60 years ago, right? But 60 years ago, as you will see, the situation was slightly different than it is today in the area of taxation. So what are the benefits, right? Let's have an academic discussion. We've got a very general reverse charge, a very broad reverse charge. What would be the benefits? The VAT fraud, the carousel fraud, the missing trader fraud would be dead. Right? I'm not saying it would be reduced; it just would disappear because, as a matter of principle, you need fractional payment principle to have a VAT fraud. So if you introduce reverse charge, this kind of VAT fraud is gone, right, immediately. That's the first benefit. The second benefit, and by the way, I think they are ordered by importance, and I think the VAT fraud is that it's great. But I think what is important for the business as well is that cash flow of business would significantly improve, right? And it's not only about the fact that you may wait, a couple of months or a lot of months for your VAT refund. It's simply the cash that's moving now into the system, and it's obviously, return this 1.3 billion that's actually claimed, is moving around the system. And if you remove this, if you eliminate this, the cash flow of business would have to improve. It's as simple as that. The third, and what I think is the biggest, from the business perspective, the biggest advantage of the general reverse charge system, or very wide reverse charge system, is that the VAT will become fun, right? If you don't have a payment, and some of you in here are in a position where you already have a lot of reverse charge because you are in specific businesses. When you, as a business, as someone who is not a final, who is not delivering to the final consumer, unless you are a retail shop, those of you who now have to solve a lot of VAT, technical VAT issues, would have a lot of fun with reverse charge, because if you don't have a VAT payment, you don't have a VAT risk. It is as simple as that, right? All the rules would remain the same. You still would have to fill in all the forms, but if there is no VAT liability that you have to pay at the end as a business, because everything is subject to reverse charge, it would actually make your life as a VAT payer dramatically simpler. And I think that this is for the panels to discuss. But I'm passionate about the last point, because we talk about VAT fraud, and it's very important, and that's why this conference is in here. But I think that business sometimes underestimates how much simpler the new system would be if it's properly implemented. Now, obviously, the reverse charge has disadvantages. There would be one of implementation costs. That's clear. The cash flow of the budget would be harmed. Again, it was mentioned in the morning. Well, the same cash flow that would improve for the business, would have to be taken from somewhere. So it would be taken from tax authorities. I think there is a solution to this, because at the end of the chain, retail has the cash immediately. So you could actually shorten the period for payment, but it's for more technical discussion. There is obvious disadvantage, and again, it was already mentioned, that if you introduce reverse charge, you put all the risk at the end of the chain, right? If you're missing if your missing transaction is at the end of the chain, then you lose all the VAT. And I think with payment cards taking a significant portion of retail sales, and with electronic evidence of sales, I think this risk is manageable. But it's obviously an issue that has to be thoroughly discussed, because this is a disadvantage. Is this a genius idea? Right, because because I'm sort of portraying this as something which has huge benefits and few issues. So why the EU, why all the brains in the EU, hasn't come up with the idea sooner? I think the question is very simple. It is not a genius idea. It's only using the existing technology that really was not available in 1954, when the idea of VAT was first put on paper in detail, right? We have more smartphones, right? We have more payment cards, we have more computing power, we have got more concentrated retail. So the playing field is really different, and this fractional payment principle that you pay, at various stages, piece by piece, is not a core of VAT idea. It's a core of idea how to collect VAT. But if you now have better tools to do it, why would you stick with something which is 60 years old? Whether you like it or not, you are not hailing a taxis or calling them these days. You just use your smartphone to call tax, and that's exactly the same with VAT. it seems that EU doesn't like the idea, and what is really the most striking thing is if you look at again the Czech numbers today. If you look at the Czech, and the Czech economy is small open economy, so the numbers for France and Germany would be slightly different. But if you look at the Czech numbers, 31% of output VAT is already under the reverse charge mechanism, because it's either domestic reverse charge, which is about 5%, and the rest is, the 27 is intra-community supply, which I think is clear reverse charge. So if this idea works for one set of supplies already, I have difficulty understanding why it couldn't work for another set, or for the for another two sets, if I wanted to be more aggressive. So the summary, I think the existing technology can serve VAT better than the fractional payment system. It is as simple as that. Right? We are not changing the neutrality, the key feature of the tax. Everything is the same. We are just saying we have a better technology to monitor VAT than we had 60 years ago, and therefore it makes sense to think about changes. I think there will be huge benefits for business and tax administration, and the limited the implementation cost. Would be high. It is a big change in the system, but I think that they are limited compared to the benefits that the new system could bring. And this takes my presentation to the end. Thank you very much.